Okay, so you've asked, who put this list together? Where did it come from? What's its origin story? You've asked, what was the criteria for those companies to be on that list that you're looking at? And you've asked, what does it mean to be a second chance employer or felony friendly? How is that defined? Does it only involve misdemeanors, certain kinds of felonies? What's the time frame? Now you want to ask, what positions are available at that company? So if it's determined that it's a felony friendly company and it's a second chance employer, whatever, and they're willing to hire people, even with maybe violent offenses or repeat offenses, then you have to ask yourself, okay, now what positions are available in that company, right? So Amazon has made a big deal about being willing to hire people with a criminal background. But what has happened in a couple of cases that I've talked to is people have wanted to work with Amazon. They filled out the application, they went through the interview process, and then they either never got a call back or the response was because of the particular crime they had, they couldn't get the job, or the particular crime made them ineligible for a certain position, but Amazon would offer them like a different position. I think this also happened with Walmart in one of the job fairs I went to. If you wanted to be a cashier, then they weren't going to allow you to do that if you had certain crimes, but you could work in the back in the warehouse or, as somebody who did stocking late at night. So what positions are available at these companies that are felony friendly and second chance employers is important as well. It might not be the actual position you think you're going to get. Another thing you might encounter, like out here in Houston, we have the ship channel. So if you work, along the coast in any way, you might have to have a different kind of license or identification card, which allows you to work on the ship channel. So for us, we call it a TWIC card. It's a Transportation Workers Identification Card, I think is what it stands for. And there are certain requirements or eligibility criteria in order to obtain the TWIC card. So you might encounter a situation where, again, there's a particular employer who is willing to hire you, but in order to get that job, you have to have a TWIC card. But in order to have a TWIC card, there are certain eligibility criteria. Now, with the TWIC card in particular, there are what they call disqualifying offenses that are permanent and disqualifying offenses that are temporary. So a permanent disqualifying offense means if you have that offense, you can never get a TWIC card. And then a temporary disqualifying offense means if you have that particular crime, you just need to be so many years away from the conviction date in order to get that card. So with the permanent disqualifying offenses for a TWIC card, it's usually like things like terrorism. Whereas with the temporary disqualifying offenses, it might be some things that are more like, selling drugs or burglary of a habitation. So there's permanent disqualifying criteria and temporary disqualifying criteria. But in order to get to this job, you got to jump through that first hoop of getting the TWIC card. So sometimes you might encounter barriers that, again, are not up to the particular employer. They might be felony friendly, but to get to them, there are certain other hoops you got to jump through, and those themselves pose problems.